Welcome everyone everywhere to another installment of the Elite Thinking Club. I'm Jules, Julien. I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts Liz Barker and Michael Houchen. You guys all right?
Hey.
Always good. Hello.
Guys, we are blessed tonight with Dr Chelsia Potts as our special guest. So Chelsia, welcome to the Elite Thinking Club. We're very honored to have you here. You all right?
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be. If you can't already tell, I'm very excited to be here. I'm honored. I appreciate
Good
it.
to hear.
We love that. Like, I swear. So I came across, you came across my For You on TikTok, and I obviously was mesmerized by what you were talking about, because what you were talking about was the unmasking process. And to most people, they probably won't know what that is. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So if you're just tuning in, honestly, this lady is incredible at how you articulate so well what I believe most people actually go through, because you're special, if you will. You're what's the correct word I'm going to use here? Subject matter expert is neurodivergent.
Right. Correct.
But the unmasking process that you highlighted, that really does resonate with all, not just neurodivergence. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And I tell people that all of the time, because that is kind of the misconception, right? Is that, oh, you're just talking to neurodivergent people. I specialize in neurodivergent people, and I understand they have a special relationship when it comes to especially late diagnosis, and then what unmasking can then mean at that point. But it can be applied to anything, right? It could be a spiritual awakening, it could be a retirement, it could be literally anything that can happen in your life that can trigger you to be like, what the hell is this? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah. So you're currently based in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the time difference is about 5 hours, but thank you so much for still joining us. And Liz, Michael, thank you so much for having a bit of a late one with me and Chelsea tonight. You guys never let me down, and I love that. You know that I love that. Do you guys know anything about neurodivergent, Liz, Michael?
Not really.
No,
I
neither, to be
googled
honest.
it. I googled it, but the way you're talking, I might not google the right thing.
That's why I said what I said, Michael, just to stay safe.
Chelsea, would you mind, if you can, summarizing what it is to be neurodivergent?
Right. So neurodivergent is essentially an umbrella that holds people that think differently. We're talking about people with autism, so people that are autistic, people that have ADHD. I don't talk about this as much on my page, but it also includes people that have BPD and narcissistic personality disorder. And it's interesting because I just realized I was under the umbrella of neurodivergence as well. But basically, it's just people that think differently based on kind of where they fall mentally, right? So I use the term neurodivergent because I think sometimes it can sound better than just saying, oh, they're autistic, or they have ADHD.
Yeah.
There's so much crossover between the neurodivergent community that that umbrella can kind of capture a lot of experiences. But that's essentially what it means, right? It's just an umbrella to capture those different mental nuances that we have.
Yeah. And some people aren't diagnosed. They're just getting on with life without realizing that actually I may be neurodivergent. But what is the opposite of neurodivergent? If you're not neurodivergent, you are, what would you say? Neurotypical. Okay, cool. But how would you know? Like, how, if you haven't been diagnosed, is there any telltale signs? Because, I think that I've got ADHD only because a few symptoms resonate. But then I could just be I could just be wanting to be ADHD. I know that sounds not like I want it, or is it a bad thing? But people have said, it's hard to know these things without being diagnosed.
It's very hard to know. But here's what I tell people. Normally, I think with ADHD specifically, it's a little different because everyone has traits of ADHD, right? Like everyone forgets something sometimes, or, everyone is like, oh my gosh, my time management, right? We all struggle in some way with executive functioning skills, right? The things that make life happen. But when it impacts your life in such a way that you can't move past it without significant either medication or some type of extensive therapy, that's when you kind of know, like, okay, wait a minute. I need more than the regular person, right? The planner isn't going to work for me. Like, I'm going to need something a little bit stronger than that. Now with autism, right, I say, and this is actually studies that show, if you think you're autistic, then more than likely you're actually autistic. People don't normally just self-identify as autistic if they don't have any of the traits. And how you can usually tell specifically with autism is that once you have like your symptoms, let's say your executive functioning skills and everything are under under control. Let's say you've taken medicine or you've done other therapies, you've taken natural remedies, then you can start to see the autism come out. At least that's what happened to me. Right, I started to realize, like, oh, you're still a little socially awkward. Like, you still don't know when to appropriately enter conversations, right? You don't pick up on social cues as often. Like, I may say something during this podcast and you might be like, what you say? And I'm like, well, this is what I mean. Well, not like that, right? So there's still like these struggles that we have that will not go away, right? There's no treatment for autism, right? You just have to learn how to deal. And that's why I feel like I come in with teaching people how to deal. Like, how do you deal with this and still have a life where you can have sustainable relationships and not let these symptoms of these of being neurodivergent impact your life?
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting and lovely for you to share with us, because I feel like you're living it. If you live it, you know it. Does that that's a motto I came up with once. Like, if you live it, you know it. Actually, no, I learned it from, I was listening to someone else speak. But if you live it, you know it. It's very hard for some people to accept as well that they're in a certain, I don't like the word label, but a certain, well, to admit that to themselves that maybe I am neurodivergent, or maybe, I have traits of this characteristic or certain things, and then actually reaching out to get the help, And some people don't want to reach out. They don't want to admit that, they want to be like, no. They want to take on more. Sorry.
Broken. I was going to say, I'm sorry to cut you off. See, I did it again, right? I knew I was going to do it. When I do that, guys, it's not on purpose. But that just, the impulsivity of it. If I actually will call out the symptom, it's like the impulsivity of it. But I think that when you find out you're broken, that's how a lot of people see it, right? When a certain picture comes into your head, in all people, right? It's not a bad thing. But when you say autistic, a certain image pops in your head. When you say ADHD, something pops into your head. And usually that is not what people think of themselves when they see it. So when you add that label to it, then it's like, oh, I have that, I'm that, and there's shame associated. I mean, there's few people that are like, whoa, I'm neurodivergent, yay! Like, there's very few people that have that experience. For the most part, you're like, I don't want to curse on here, but like, you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, no, you can curse. It's okay.
So yeah, it's like
we're just all trying our best right now not to, because we've watched some episodes in the past and we've kind of like made a rule that we're really trying not to anymore. But it's okay if you do. It's fine.
Well, then I'll follow the rule. But yeah, it's hard to accept it. And so that's why, creating that process was so important for me, so people could see themselves and something outside of themselves, because you can get so caught up in thinking it's just you when it's not. It's an entire community that's going through the same thing at the same time.
And I love that you just said that. Liz, Michael, do you feel like you have any neurodivergent traits, or do you believe you're just neurotypical?
Definitely neurodivergent.
Michael?
Yeah.
I've got little bits, like I'll lock my car like 30 times just to make sure I've done it.
I do that.
I didn't even notice it. It's just I'll get my key out. As I'm walking away, I'll just like click, 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 click.
I do that,
and then
Michael.
someone go, you've locked it. But then if I then think, oh, did I lock it? I have to walk back, even though I know I've clicked it so many times. Literally, I was in Nottingham last week. Walked probably 50 meters away from my car, about to go down. I got down 2 flights of stairs, and I went, did I lock my car? I'm going to go back. My mate was like, no, you locked it. And I'm like, no, I've just got to check. When I leave the house in the morning, I lock the door. I'm literally about to get in the car, and I'm like, did I lock it? Is that a memory from yesterday that I locked it, or did I lock it? So I have to go back to the house, like if the missus weren't in, I probably wouldn't care. But if someone gets in and she's in. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I do
man.
that all the time.
Well, at least you know you're doing it. You know, you're
Yeah.
aware you're doing it, which is cool. Shout out to
I'm
some of
only
the...
aware because people have told me.
Okay. Yeah. So you would never recognize it in yourself, really. Liz, is there anything?
Because it's just natural. It's just natural. Like I just go, and then it's only when someone, why do you lock the car so much? And I was like, make sure it's locked.
Yeah. No. Do you feel like, okay, so do you feel like, right, you've maybe not been diagnosed like formally by a professional. However, what you've done is you've created a life with things that you've recognized in yourself, but you've just learned to adapt. Like you've created a version of you that isn't your true self, because your true self wouldn't care, right? But because the world isn't built for people with neurodivergent traits, you've had to almost double up. You've had to create a like a lot of people do this, and this is the hardest thing, right, that I've discovered, is that most people will be like, but that's life, and I'm like, but don't you feel like that I don't know, it shouldn't be that difficult. Like it really shouldn't be that difficult. I find myself thinking, am I struggling with life because life is like this for all, or is this actually like a little bit harder? Am I struggling? Is this cognitive functioning in here? Because I'm busy thinking about a lot of stuff, but then I have to do the simplest things that some people, I believe, sail through. Don't overthink it. Don't over question it. Whereas I'm like freaking out sometimes about the simplest of things. And they're telling me to slow my mind down, telling me to stop overthinking it. You think too much. And I'm like, why don't you think at all? Not saying that in a direct, like a stab at them, but do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I mean, sometimes I confuse my state of memory. So I remember like at work, I have to lock up a couple of nights a week, but I have to check the doors there as well, loads and loads of times to make sure I've done it, because I will replay in my mind me locking the door.
Yep.
But then sometimes that will be a memory from the day before. So then 2 nights in a row, I didn't lock the door. And then when I come back in, my boss was like, have you stopped locking the doors now?
Was he forgiven?
Now I have to check, yeah. But now I have to check the doors like 15 times just to make sure. Wow. And then people go, I've already checked that door. Yeah, but I've got to check it.
Shout out to Truth Seeker, shout out to Nini. I see you guys checking in on the comments and the TikTok. I really love that. And thanks for being here. Really appreciate that. We've got Dr. Chelsia Potts on the show, and I will add a video with her link to her TikTok where you can see everything that she talks about, from being neurodivergent versus being neurotypical. And well, she's live with us right now. So yeah, for tuning in. We're going to dig a bit more. Okay. Michael, thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure there are many others. Liz agreed, you know, she's like, I do that. And yeah, most people, I don't do that, just so you know. Like, I'm not really an overthinker. I might get like half an hour away from the house and then just think, if I forgot to lock it, I forgot to lock it. You know what I mean? Because I feel
I don't with my alarm as well. I have to set my alarm like 5 times a night.
What? Wow.
Like the alarm's to get up in the morning. Because I have done in the past, I got to set the alarm. So then I'll put my phone down, right? And then did I say it? Yeah, I definitely check. And then I'll literally open my alarms, check I've got all my 5 alarms on, make sure my sound's on, check my alarms on, make sure my sound's on. And I'll do that so many times till it just frustrates me. I go, no, it's done. If you're late for work, you're late for work.
Go on, Liz. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I have many things that, some of the things that Chelsia mentioned, like the time management, and also the impulsivity and the talking, over talking, and not knowing when to stop sometimes, and in social situations saying the wrong thing. So there's and also I have, at school I used to do a lot of the daydreaming, and I my mind would go off in tangents, and it still does. And even when I'm talking, sometimes I still go off on tangents, and I feel like I understand myself and I know what I'm talking about, but I think others have like lost the concept of what story I'm telling, or you know what I'm saying. So, and I've been like it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot.
Yeah, so many. There's a great book that I've been reading, and it's in regards to ADHD, and it's called Scattered Minds. And it's just kind of understanding it, really, just kind of, you know, helping me to kind of not overthink certain things, and just to understand why the mind works like that and why people are like that. So
Yeah.
That's dope. That's good.
Thanks for sharing that, Liz, because I relate to that.
Yeah.
Seriously, sometimes I can't even, well, I try my best to. I've really had to grasp this, but look people in the eye. When I speak to people, I don't know if this is a neurodivergent trait. I tend to, I can't stay looking. I have to look, I look away. I look at things. My eyes wander, and I don't get why I do that. But it just, I don't overthink it until now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why are my eyes always looking away? Someone else highlighted it to me. They said, I think you got ADHD. And I'm like, why? And they say, because when you speak, you look, which is, who is that?
That's my dog, Rocky. Sorry. He's always here every week, showing up on the podcast.
No noises this week, though.
Yeah, that's a new noise. Okay,
dear.
right. Obviously, what we've done is just shared some experiences of, you know, traits of neurodivergent. And we've got Chelsia on the show. And Chelsia, thank you for just listening to us talk there. But really, I would like to put the spotlight back on you, because you're here and you are, if you will, you're the expert at this. Because am I right in saying that you've got a workbook coming out, the Unmasking workbook, which I'm really looking forward to, by the way, because back to what I said at the start, I would love for you to go in a bit on this whole unmasking process, because when I saw your TikTok video on this, I was like, I was just like, I love when someone can explain what I know, because I don't know how to, you get what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that.
So you did this unmasking process first TikTok I saw, and what you're talking about, it said you're moving beyond what we have been socially conditioned to believe about ourselves and others and the human experience. Now, okay, so there's different phases as well, and if you can like go in on each phase, then as it goes through, so it's going to be like a me and you tennis, right? I'll ask you to, and then you just go in on it, and then when you're finished, or you feel like you're finished, I'll say, okay, cool, let's go to the next one. So
okay, I can flow with that.
So Liz, Michael, I know you guys are just going to listen like intently on this, right? This is magic here. The unmasking process. So the first step, the existence phase. Okay, so the existence phase. Chelsia Potts. Why did I just say Chelsia Potts? I don't know why I said your full name. Chelsia.
I was like, oh yes.
Chelsia, can you talk us through? Actually, just give us a summary of the unmasking process first before we go in on it. Let's summarize it, and then we'll start opening the orange and get each segment at a time, if that's all right.
Yeah, that works. Okay, so the unmasking process is what a individual will go through as they begin to get to self-actualization, but I actually like to describe it as equilibrium in their lives. And it starts off with us just simply existing, which it sounds simplistic, but that's what it is, right? You're really just at that point, your perception is your reality, right? And so until something happens as you move through those phases, then you finally trigger and you realize like, oh, wait a minute, this has all been a game I've been playing, even if I didn't know I was playing it. And once you start to realize that, you kind of have a couple of options, right? You can begin to decouple all the things that you thought you may have known about yourself to see if they really align with you, or if they don't now with what you know, or you cannot. And then you begin to hopefully move through the phases at the end to continue to little by little by little kind of rebuild and rethink about what your life now is, right? And what it can be. Now, something that I like to always highlight when I'm talking about it is that everyone does not go through all of the phases. And I think that's something that I had a hard time accepting, because I want everybody to go through all the phases, which is why I made it. And I was like, we can all do this. Come on, we can collectively find ourselves and live our authentic lives. But unfortunately, the reality is that there are some people that in their entire lives will just be in existence. There are some people that will spin when they get to the existential crisis phase. There's others who will give up on reframing and just say, this is just what it is, right? So there's different stops, right? It's fluid. You can go back, you can go, you can reframe, and then you can say, I'm done with this. I'm going back to existing, right? So it's fluid. It goes back and forth, and we all unfortunately will not make it to equilibrium, but we can do our best in each of the phases, right? To try, at least hopefully, that's my hope. That's the humanitarian in me wants to believe that that's all, that we will all make it to equilibrium. But the reality is that
I love this. I love this so much, because I remember a comedian said once, he said, it doesn't matter who brings you the message. Okay. It could be through Jesus. It could be through Allah. It could be through spirituality. It could be through Dr. Chelsia Potts talking about the unmasking process. The beautiful thing is, or the thing that you need to do is realize, did you get the message? It doesn't matter who the messenger is, it's did you get the message? And what I feel like you're talking about right now, Chelsea, is like what I would refer to as spiritual ascending. I would see it as, we all started at the existence phase, which is born into a world that teaches you what it is all about. Like someone's created this system that doesn't necessarily go with the flow of your mindset, whether you're neurodivergent, but most neurotypical people flow quite easily in this phase. Right? That's what I see it as.
yes,
And that's the existence phase. This existence phase is what I talk about in spirituality as developing your ego, because your ego is protecting you in your earlier stages from the world as you know, right? So most people that solidify their beliefs, concrete conviction, this is who I am because this is the world is, and this is who I need to be in this world. That's the existence phase. Is that, in summary, like what you would explain as the existence phase? Okay.
yes.
This is what I love about what you've done and how you've got this all down. Because I say this to some people, like, so then you're at like what I would call the 3D. You're in the 3D world and you're doing 3D things, and you ain't going to break through because you don't want to hear the truth. But then here comes the truth, okay? Here comes a little bit of truth, or life might present you with something that makes you move on to this phase, which you call the discovery phase.
Yes.
Okay, can you talk about the discovery phase, please?
Yes, I can. And before I do, I have to highlight, the ego is a big piece of this. I don't highlight that as much, but I should, because there are some people that will stay in existence because of socialization, and there's others that will say simply because of ego and my world is good right now. So why do I even need to think about this in any other way? And so it's just interesting how people can get stuck in why. And how like marginalized populations specifically can stay for many different reasons than somebody else that may have a lot of privileged identities, right?
Yep.
But when you get to discovery, you then have a choice. You can accept the knowledge, you can do more research on it, or you can completely dismiss it. There have been people where I've had this conversation with them and they have said, I don't want to even know. Right? Yes, I've heard, it might be neurodivergent, and they may say, I've heard of that. I think I might be, but I'm not even going to bother with that. I'm good. I don't want to hear it. And then there's others where like you can have a larger life event where it can just shake you to where you can't ignore it, like a death. Sometimes that can happen. An official diagnosis, like even through TikTok, right? After so many videos, you're like, what is the algorithm trying to tell me here? Like what is this, right? And so you could choose to ignore it, or you cannot. But in that discovery phase, basically that's when something has happened that at least shakes you enough to where you're like, wait a minute, let me look into this more. Let me see how this applies, right? And depending on how far you go, that's when you can bump down to the next phase. But I'll pause because we're doing this phase by phase and I need to stay in order. So.
Yes. So I'll try and spiritually, I would say to someone, right, imagine when you're born into a room, okay? And this room has a window, just one window. But on all the different walls, there is different posters and pictures, okay? And you are allowed to look at those posters and pictures and they interact back with you. Okay. I'm just saying, that's it. That's what you're born into, okay? So you learn how to interact with these posters on the wall. But imagine just one day, right? Just one day, one of the posters says, have you ever actually opened that window? And there you go, no. You know it opens. And they're like, and you're like at the discovery phase. This is the discovery phase. Oh, does it? Yeah, it does. Go ahead and open it. And all the other posters are like, don't open that window. Do not open that window. Whatever you do not open. And you've grown up with these posters your whole life. Okay. They have been your friends. You have communicated with these posters. And then they're saying, don't. And this one poster says, go ahead. Just do it. And anyway, you draw the curtains, light comes in, and you're like, oh my God, this is light. This is actual light. What is outside that? What's beyond that window? And all the posters don't know. They can't go with you. They belong in the room. And that's how I sometimes try. And some people, like you said, that stay in existence phase, they will not join me. They can't join me. It's not for them. But person like myself, I need to know what's on the other side of that window. It ain't enough for me just to, stay comfortable in the poster room. Do you get what I'm saying? That's like a metaphor way I'd look at it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That helps a lot of people, right? Understand kind of what that means. I got a really good mental picture. I was like, oh man, would I want to just slam the door and be like, get this light out of here? Or would I want to climb through the window? But it would also depend on what that room meant to me.
Yes.
I say that all the time. I'm like, there's some people where if your entire identity is in that room, it can be scary to go and see what's on the other side of the window. If you are in this room and you've been oppressed or you have been not treated well, and then maybe everything would make sense to why you haven't been, then you may say, I want to take a look, but it depends on how your room is laid out. So I'll probably steal that from you. I might need to pay you for that.
Honestly, share alike. I love it. Like the message, it doesn't matter who the messenger is. It's did you get the message? Now, I know what you mean because I've had very interesting conversations with some people before where they've asked me and they just said, you've changed. I said, yes, cool. Like I'm supposed to, but this isn't, you knew this in me. It isn't like you didn't know, right? I didn't have dreadlocks when I was a soldier. I had a lot of army friends who at the time I would agree my ego was all based around my identity, which I associated with my career and my circles and who I was. And I was going to be in there for life. I couldn't see beyond it. I only thought like a soldier and I only lived like a soldier. And then as the gods would have it, I got injured and I was done. It was like, right, catapult into your new next phase. It was very difficult. And I think that brings me on to your next phase, which is the existential crisis phase. Now, this existential crisis phase, you are here to say it, Chelsia, but I'm going to say it like I saw it, right? It is a flipping breakdown. Like I done a TikTok post on it. I freaked out. Like, believe it or not, this is the one that got me the most attention. Like I freaked out. I said, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't get this. I'm supposed to do this and then do that. Like I was just, it was all this knowledge and all of this 3D world, and then like trying to piece it all together. Like, where do I belong? What's my purpose? What the fuck? What the hell is this? So can you describe a bit about what you call the existential crisis phase, please?
It is. So it's funny because when I first printed it out, I put what the fuck is this? Like that was the best way I could describe the phase, because that's literally what happens. It's like, what is going on? Because if you're in discovery and if you actually move to existential crisis, that means that you've done a little bit more digging. Like you figured this out, you took the extra step, and now you realize for sure, like, this is going to be a shift. Like, this isn't who I am. For people that are neurodivergent, a lot of it is, oh, that's why I could never have a relationship, or that's why I struggled in school. That's why I didn't make it out of university. You know, like all these things start to click and make sense. But it can also put you in a spot where you're like, what is real? Because depending on how big your discovery is and how much that it's a thread in your life, it can be literally you'll question your whole life. Like, was this a lie? Like, would I have married this person if I would have known? Would I have had kids if I had known? Would I have chosen this career? Would I have spent this money? Would I have, it's just like you get to the point where it's just like, did I make all the right decisions with the right information? I didn't even know. And now you know, and you don't know what to do. And that can be
I can
scary.
relate to that.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. It's tough. And people can stay there. People can stay there for a long time, especially if you just don't know where to go or you don't have the resources. And that's why I appreciate TikTok so much, because you can learn and you can see at least, and it's accessible. Whereas I don't know where a lot of people would go if they didn't have that resource there to kind of not feel so alone and not really know how to move forward, because it's tough.
Yeah. One of the hardest things, back to the metaphor I used about someone who's born in a room, interacts with posters that talk back, but then one day discovers the window. So they're in the discovery phase. They're curious about it. And then if they do break free, if they get out, if they climb out the window and they open themselves up to this whole new world that I believe deep down they knew existed. I truly believe that. I think deep down everyone's heart and spirit and soul, as we are all connected collectively, they know that there's more to it. But like you said, and I think Liz, you said that you can relate to, if you've gone so long in that room, developed a whole life in that room, and you realize that actually this is what I know, this is what I know, and I don't want to lose this. Is it possible, right, to go out the window but then come back into the room? Is it possible to do both? Can you do both? And I believe that through what we're going to talk about now, which is the 4 R's, right? These 4 R's, right? I like this. This is yours. This is you, Chelsea. This I can't wait. I love this for you.
Seamlessly.
The 4 R's. Like I said when we was all talking before, I feel like I've done all 4, and then I got to put myself in a position where I can know how to be like a chameleon. I know how to be in and amongst the different situations in my life. But let's go in these 4 R's, right? And I'm going to shut up because I didn't make this. What you've done, Chelsea, I love this. You've created like the blueprint of what I knew, but I didn't know how to say it. And I love that you have. I love it. Right. Okay. So the first R, once you've gone through the existence phase, you've done the discovery phase, and then you have the existential crisis phase. You've got 4 R's. And the first R is remain. So what does remain mean?
So this is what happens. So it's actually remask. You can remask. So to answer the question you just asked, you said, what happens if, what do you do if you just want to go back, right? Can you go back? You can, but you can't. You can go back, but you can't unknow what you know now. So I'll use my job, my work, for example. When I started to realize, I'm like, oh my gosh, the pace of this job is stressing me out. But my whole identity is this job, to the point where if we don't, at that point in my life, if you didn't talk about my job, I didn't really know what else to talk to you about. It was, I'm a doctor and I'm a dean, and this is who I am. And then I realized, I'm like, this doctor and dean is stressing me out, and I actually don't like it as much as I thought I was going to. But what do? I don't know how to do anything else. I'm just gonna go back. But I don't know how I ignored it for so long, but now every day I went to work, it was blatantly clear that this was not a good place for me. Like, I noticed where I was stressed. I could feel it in my body more. It had more of an impact because now I'm actively rejecting myself, right? It's not, I don't know that this is happening. Now I'm actually making a choice to say, I'm going to ignore my well-being for this. And then you have to make a choice. So I tell people this is the phase where you can stay in it, but it's going to have a bigger hit to your mental health than it did before.
I
Because
know
now
exactly
you're
how that feels.
choice against self. Anytime that you actively choose against self, it has an impact. Whether we want to talk about it or not, it does, and you can only suppress it to a certain point.
And in spirituality, it's known as flow state. So one of the things you have to do in trusting the universe is fully trusting. As in, if you wake up in the morning, a big stretch, understand and listen to your health, understand and listen to your mind, understand and try and listen to the voice that is your intuition, it will guide you to exactly where you need to be from the minute you wake up, even to the minute you leave the house. However, if you've been in existence phase for so many years, okay, it's habit to get in that car or get in that on that train and commute, get to that place and sit in that chair or do whatever it is you've been doing for so many years, that the intuition and the universe is silent. It's white noise in your head. You're not in tune, right? So when you said about going against your well-being, that is exactly what is hard, because someone said to me once, and I really appreciate this. She said to me, you will always be at a state of awareness once you are aware, right? Once you become enlightened, once you are there in your awareness state, it is impossible for you to lose that. You can't go any lower. You can only ascend higher. However, it is possible for someone to be aware and be operating out of a low vibration. They're not there. Do you get me? If you're here, you're a magician, you're a flipping witch, wizard, you're whatever you want, you're powerful. You are an emitting human being that is not only aware, but your vibe is high. You are beaming like the flipping light that you are. However, there's a lot of us who have gone through it and we're now aware, but we're still not quite getting our vibration, our vibe, because we're not in alignment with what our purpose is or whatever. And it's hard because, it's like you're trying to balance it all. You want to do what you want to do. You know what you're supposed to do. Now, I suppose it's getting there. So, sorry, Chelsea, I cut you up.
No,
that
you
was the R, remain. Is that correct? Or
Remask.
Remask. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Remask. So the next R, retreat. Right. And I think that we've kind of get it when someone retreats. So, but go ahead, Chelsea, elaborate on that for us, please.
So, retreat is essentially where you try to disengage with whatever system, right? That it is. So I'll use religion for this example for me. So I didn't identify much with spirituality at all prior to maybe the last three or 4 years. And so once I realized, I discovered something, okay, and then I was like, oh, this is not good for me. Okay, this is not serving me the best. But religion for me was where I had all of my friends. Like that was my social circle. Was we went to church together. It didn't matter if I'm with my sorority. It didn't matter what it was. There was something centered around church. So I need to still interact in this system, or I felt like I still needed to interact in this system. I didn't feel comfortable saying I'm questioning things. So I retreated and I only engaged when I had to, which means that if it's a sorority meeting, for example, and we're going to church, I'm going to church and I'm singing the songs and I'm doing the dance, right? But I'm not going to do the extra Bible study. I'm not going to come to if it's an online sermon versus in person, I'm going to go to the online, maybe. So, but I'm still technically engaging with it. I'm not at the point where I'm saying I'm done with this, nor am I at the point where I'm seeking anything else. I'm just basically using it for the benefits, using sounds bad, but that's what it is, right? I'm using it for the benefits that it has, right? The social, all of that. But that's pretty much the extent of my engagement. People also do this with like work from home jobs. Like if they say, I cannot come to the office, I'm only going to work from home because I can't deal with the office politics, or I can't deal with this or deal with that. You still get the benefits, you still get the check, you still get all of that. But I'm just going to engage minimally, but I'm still not at the point where I'm going to quit this job. If that makes sense. So that's what the retreat phase is.
Okay. The next R is resist phase, like the resist. These four though are not one above the other, are they? They're all like on the same sort of thing. It's not like existence phase followed by discovery phase followed by the crisis phase. Nah, once you've gone through those 3 steps, you're going to find yourself in one of these 4 boxes. But I believe that most people go through, well, I say most people, I feel that I've gone through all 4. It isn't like I just got stuck with one. Do you get what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
In this situation, I was there, and this one there, and this one there. And it didn't happen quick. Like, this is happening over a course of like 3 or 4 years, you know, and then like I was in discovery phase for like flipping years, like 5-6 years. I was discovering stuff. I was like, flipping out, I'm in discovery phase all the time. I keep climbing out that window and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I love this. And then like then it's like, oh shit, I got to go back into the room and I got to do that. And I'm trying to tell the room, I'm trying to tell the posters in my room. I'm like, by the way, I swear you got to see this. And they're just like, you what about? You're crazy, or you know, you're not really with it. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, what the flipping hell? I can't be with you lot no more. Nah. This ain't, you know, I mean, this is where I'm at now. I'm like, nah, I don't care. This room is shite. Like, I'm out the window full time. Like, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not doing it. And it to the point where, not that I'm a little bit worried, but if it weren't for TikTok, I think I'd be alone. I'd be so scared. If it weren't for like people just reassuring me that it's okay, like you're not the only person to have done this. Like, there are many of us and we exist, you know. But anyway, I just went on a tangent. I just got excited about it because it's
good. I feel that. No, I feel that. It's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of people ready. We're so close. A lot of people are on the cusp of closing the window full time, like actually jumping out and shutting it. We don't want that old world back. That old world didn't work. We didn't. Do you get me? Do you know what I mean? We had a taste of it during lockdowns. Do you remember when we all had that harmonious moment of unity, in a sense that the human spirit felt for once like the collective was all like flipping rest, like all the posters shut up almost, like we were all just allowed to just exist without the confines of the existence, that you could relax a bit. Your ego that you used to have to go out and interact with people, not the fake self, that's not fair, but the person you built, the resilient person that you built to smile at people and wave and have that you know weren't you, yeah, didn't have to do that for a year. You could actually be your true self. You could actually relax. You get what I mean? In your shell, and you had a good time. And then you're thrown back into it, and people are they're at that point where they're like they know what they know now. They know how they felt then, and now they're back in what was, but they don't want to be back in what was. We're at the cusp. We're so close. Okay, sorry. All right, cool. So that was the resist phase. Did we just go through that?
No, wait, resist. No, we did retreat.
Okay, we did retreat.
I don't think we did retreat. No, we didn't do resist. Okay, so resist.
Resist.
So these are the folks. This is the phase where you are either actively rejecting or to do it, right? You're not going to do the thing, or you're advocating in the space for change. So this is where you have like your activists, right? That will say, I'm not just going to leave this particular system alone. I'm going to actively fight to change this system.
That's Liz.
I'm going to actively do something about this, right? That's where you'll find that one. And then, so some people will say, well, what if I'm not really an activist? Well, I mean, we're all kind of activists in our own right. But even if you decide, I'm not doing that thing, and you're that one person in that one space, that's still making a change. That's still drawing attention to something that if you had just done the thing, no one would have ever noticed. So that's what resist is.
Okay, and I love that. I say actually because out of the Elite Thinking Club, Chelsea, Liz is our freedom fighter. This lady, Liz, I talk for you. You can already say it, but you know. Liz is out there fighting. She's on the streets. She's got the banners. She's marching with the troops. She's a foot soldier, and I love her for that.
That's dope. I love
just doing my bit.
You're incredible, woman. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. You inspire more than you know. Okay, the rebel phase. Chelsia, what's the
I'll fall
rebel
into that
phase?
one as well.
Yeah. So these rebels, you know, so here's a little side note about the rebel phase. So when I initially made the theory, there was only 3 R's, and I presented the 3 R's, and then people were like, well, I think it was the rebels. They were like, "Where's the rebel?" Because that's what I'm doing, and I was like, "What?" And then that comment was like the comment, and I was like, "Okay, let me think about this." So, and I think that was the furthest from my mind, because that's the scariest thing for me, to go out and create my own something. But that's what they do. It's basically saying, I'm not going to participate at all, right? I'm not going to advocate for change within the system. I'm not going to do any of that. What I'm going to do is create my own shit. Excuse me. We're not supposed to be cussing. But that's what that phase is. It's like, I'm going to create my own thing, right? And you may take parallels, you know, from a prior system, but it still is essentially it's its own thing with its own rules.
Yeah.
And that's what the rebels are.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. Those are the people I look up to the most, because I'm scared. I'm scared to do that. But yeah.
Don't be scared. Do it.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. It's a yeah. I would like to consider myself a rebel. Like, I have had enough. Like, I will risk it all now. I'm at that point where I have literally got to the point where I will risk it all. I'm not even scared. Like, I'm not even scared. Like,
Same.
I trust the universe so much. I've done too much in here and I've done too much out there. Like, to know what I know, to just have to fit into the box they want me in. I'm not having it, because what I know is that we are all part of this. This is one massive playground, okay? One big playground that is ours. It isn't belonging to anyone. It's ours. We all share it as a collect, like all different spirits that come here, and we have been here many times before. It isn't like, oh, you've been here the once and then you disappear. No, you can come back here. This is just one big playground. And I've said this to Liz and Michael before. It's as far as the different you know, you can astral project, you can go to different places as spirit, but the thing is about the human experience is it's just the most beautiful place, right? But there are spirits who have been here so much that they are masters of the game. It isn't even like they're just masters of the game, right? They're the ones that create the systems that make other spirits so fucking hypnotized. So they just know how to play it so well. They've created it for fucking decades. It's like, we're going to make them forget from birth. We're going to make them forget what they truly are, because if they remember what they truly are, they will then start to be rebels, and the rebels will recreate what we've worked so hard at building. Now, the mother of spirits, all of us, okay, our mother, our source, Gaia, whatever you want to label it as, right, creates karmic laws, okay, universal karmic laws, and these laws should not be broken. And the reason why they should not be broken is because most of them, well, I say there's 7 of them, but most of them have karma, right? So these people that create these, that the older spirits that have created everything that was, or say was, it still flipping exists, but the ones that are masters of the game know that they won't put themselves in a position to disturb the karma, right? But what they do is they hypnotize the others to do the work for them, so the karma comes back to them, and not the spirit, not the masters of the game. Does that make sense? So this is why the collective need to work so hard in operating out of places of love and operating out of places of higher vibrations, because as soon as we stop playing their game, we are back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is having the time of our lives on a planet that is full of abundance, by the way, full of it. It isn't, you know, do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I know during the lockdowns, everybody felt it. I don't care what walk of life you were. I know you felt it. And that feeling is what we're supposed to be feeling every second of this existence, whether you know that or not. That is what it is. So anyway, yeah. Being one of the rebels is hard, because
man, so I appreciate the background that you gave, because this weekend, so since I moved to Ohio, because I'm from a place called Kansas City, Missouri, And so when I moved here a year ago, I was like, I have got to move. Like, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I've got to move, because if I stay here, I'm gonna be stuck. So I gotta get out. And I moved. And now that I'm here in Ohio, there's been like moments where I'm like, what did I do? But I feel like the more that I get closer to my true self, the more that I feel like spirit is pulling me to say, like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is done. And it's just like inching forward to the point where even last week I told my supervisor during our one-on-one, she said, how do you like the job? And I was like, I don't. I was like, I don't. I said, yeah, this is just not for me. I said, I deserve happiness, and so do you. And this isn't happy for any of us. And so I was like, I think I might do my own thing. And I was like, but I'm not quitting today, but I'm just letting you know this on my mind. Now that's a huge risk. Okay.
Mm.
I
Massive,
don't know. Like, even saying it out loud, I'm like, what the hell? But that's how close I feel like I am to doing and providing what I'm supposed to be providing to the world. And so I'm like, I feel like every day I go to work, while I think that, what I do there is important, I'm like, this is somebody else's thing. This isn't my thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the universe will like get you to a point where finally you're like, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. But it takes also, it doesn't happen overnight. One of the things I've learned is that at each lesson you learn, okay, you may feel like you've reached a certain stage where you're like, I think I know it all now. Now, the funny thing is you don't, because you always need to, you will know it all because you understand the karmic laws. But for example, let's separate the two right now. I'm not talking about knowing it all as in, I don't know how to fly a plane. Okay, I don't know how to build a flipping washing machine. I'm not talking about learning about how to do stuff. I'm talking about karmic, being spirit. You learn, you know what you know. All right, you're there. Okay, you can't learn anything more. All you're going to be doing now is just living out the rest of your life. But this is now your choice. Okay, this is now your choice to either continue like what we've talked about, being in the different remask, retreat, resist, or rebel phases. And I know for some it's very difficult because, like we've highlighted before, you can't just drop everything. There's others that may rely on you. There's others that may need you to be the existence phase that you've built your whole life upon, because that person interacts with other people to ensure your survival, to ensure your income, to ensure your social standing, to ensure your social circle, or whatever you're tied into, whatever the tie. Okay. So don't ever feel like, oh, I'm not being my true authentic self. You are your true authentic self, but you are also know like that you dabble. You're in and out the window. You can't be out of it full time, because some of the people that exist in your life, they're still in the room. It is hard. It is hard. Now let's talk about, you've done those 4. I know we're going a little bit over now, guys. Liz, Michael, you all right?
Yeah, all good. I mean, I can fly a plane and I can build a washing machine, but just
I want to fly a plane. I don't think I can build a washing machine. I wouldn't trust it.
No. Okay, Michael. Okay, so we've done those 4 R's. And Chelsia, thank you so much for explaining all those 4. Can you go in on reframing, or have I gone into that? What's the reframing part of it?
Yeah. So reframing is really, that's how you make it all happen, right? This is going to be really the base of the workbook. So, earlier you were talking about how somebody pointed out that you don't make eye contact with folks when you're talking. So a lot of that is because of mind-body connection. So like when you're neurodivergent, you spend a lot of time in your head, and you have to be very intentional with grounding into your body. And I think when you are trying to think of things to say, because I do the same thing when I'm talking and I'm thinking, I go back into my head and I can kind of lose that connection with body. So I'm not even thinking about eye contact. I'm thinking about whatever it is I'm thinking about. But all of it starts with self-awareness, right? Like when you're aware of yourself, and you have to know where you are at a baseline, because we operate so much in anxiety and we're always thinking about the next thing, and you don't even realize like you're living your life in a very stressed state. And so you have to really start to be like intentional about getting to know yourself, right? Especially with what you know now. So whatever you discovered and how you even how you reacted to your existential crisis, right, shows a lot about maybe how trauma showed up. And another thing too is that I think sometimes it can be kind of underscored how much trauma can impact you, especially when you couple that with being neurodivergent. Because when you go through trauma in your life, you can kind of still have the same reactions that someone that neurodivergent has, even if you're not, just because of how trauma impacts the body. So it's really important to take your time and go through like that self-awareness piece. I tell people to start with understanding like how do you feel in certain settings. So first, like getting comfortable with yourself and know enough to know how do you feel when nobody's around you and there's no pressure and you're just by yourself. How do you feel? Right. And then once you get to yourself to a place of peace, when you're at work or when you're with your family or when you're driving down the street, how do you feel? Right. And how is that different than when you're at your baseline? And then once you understand that, then you can start to realize, okay, well, what are the triggers? Is it me? Right? Is it my trauma that's triggering me in this space? Or is it this person? Or is it this structure or this system? And then that's when you can start figuring out, okay, what do I do about that? Like, how do I realign? Right? How do I get myself comfortable with interacting with this person, or should this person just not be in my life? Right? And then how do I cultivate that? And then you continue to kind of go through that cycle, right? Self-awareness, external awareness, alignment, until you get yourself to a point where you are yourself at your baseline, comfortable, free, having fun, not thinking about, oh my gosh, are they going to like me? Are they going to receive me? Like you're truly just existing in your highest self. You keep doing that until you get as close as possible.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it starts. And I had to expand on that reframing part a lot because I think that's where people get lost. They're like, what does that
No,
mean?
I like that you did. No, I like that you did. Yeah, you made that make sense, because reframing is very important. So went through a phase of completely diminishing my ego. I mean, stripping it completely to the point where I forgot who I was. I had to rewatch my TikTok to remind myself who I was. And it was bad because it was like I'd meditated too far. I went too far. I shouldn't have gone that far. It was like, you're not supposed to know this, because if you go that far, you're almost ready to pass over. You're bored of life. This is bored. This is crap. What am I doing here? I don't even want to be here. You're not here for you. You're here because others need you, right? So let that go. Then I was like, but who am I? Like, I know what I am. I know exactly what I am, spirit-wise. You know what I mean? I know exactly what all this is now. It's all I know. So what's the point? Like, I may as well. I know it sounds really silly. I know it sounds really bad. I was like, I'm going to end the game and I'm going to start again. That's bad. That's really bad. Now, had it not been for certain people in my life come through and highlight to me, we need you, then it made more sense. Reframing is important, because if you go through a stage of losing your ego or forgetting who you are or any of that stuff, and then you're trying to piece it all back together again, reframing is exactly what you just said, I believe, Chelsia, is exactly that. You know how to be, you know how to maneuver, everything you know, but just remember the good stuff you want to take forward, and maybe just all that stuff you didn't want to take forward, go, don't need it. You know what I mean? It's done. But it's hard to do, because one of the things I like about my ego is it's so really, it's just, okay, how can I explain this? There's certain things that people would turn around and be like, oh, that's all ego. It's like, you know what it is? That is. Like, I want to train. I want to look good naked. That's ego. Flipping right it is. And I look good naked. So what's your point? Like, if I was convinced, people said to me, oh, you got too much ego. It's like, oh, at what point do you draw that line where it's actually okay to carry that forward? That's a healthy association. You know, if I constantly didn't care about that, I could end up unhealthy, you know, or anything like that. Do you get what I mean? So
Yes.
the reframing stage, very important for people who have gone beyond, people who are at that point of being either a rebel or resisting, or, you know, or we're all at kind of that phase. So Chelsia, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, and I'll add one thing to that, because that made me think about something that's really important with what you just said. Because I too got to a point where I was like, this is all, I got it. Like, this is all crap. I'm not going to worry about this. But it's important, you know, to understand that if we're all here, no matter what you believe, right, of what happens when we leave this earth, right, the body's not going. Okay. So anything that you can experience with your body is important, right? So keeping your body healthy, being able to feel or drink the water, or those touch the person or feel the pleasure, you know, those are things that I think sometimes when you're just in your head, you don't really realize that you, like, this is the one thing that we have that is we can only have in this space, in this dimension, right? When we die, this is here. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy that touch and that, you know, that drink of water, and I'm gonna work it out, and I'm gonna look good, and I'm gonna do the things, because I mean, I don't know, I've never seen a spirit. I don't know what it looks like. But I know that this body that I have right now, I want to enjoy it thoroughly, fully. You know, whatever that means, and whatever that means for anybody, I think it's just important to think about it from that lens. Like, people say all the time, money's not going with you. Well, neither is your body.
Yeah.
So you enjoy it.
I tried to explain this to Liz and Michael. We've had chats in private, Chelsea, and I say to them, when you become your spirit self, you don't feel hunger. And the worst thing about it is you miss it. So the human experience is all of these sensations and all of these interactions, and it's a lot of like the senses, basically. And it's amazing, because when you're alive and when you're just getting on with life, to feel hunger isn't a nice feeling. But I promise you, just to exist without it is very boring. And with all the highs and all the lows, that's the experience. And as much as you don't want the lows, you miss them. You'll miss them when they're gone. You know,
you don't notice the highs as much if you haven't got the lows.
Yes.
Duality.
And a beautiful thing is, as well, you do increase your gratitude a lot more. And I feel like, you know, you take things for granted. People take things for granted all the time. I still do. You know, it's like, I'll eat an apple and I could just wolf it down knowing I just want to eat. Do you know what I mean? Or I could really close my eyes and enjoy every single crunch and sweet and nice. And do you get what I mean? And that's just an apple. And then I should hold the apple. Remember the physical touch, you know? I can smell the apple, you know? And it's just an apple. But your gratitude can go so deep that every single thing, you should be tearing up. You should be crying at how good this is. Because if people could remember really, like, it doesn't exist beyond. This is only here and now that you can have this. Every single thing, right, that is just surrounding us, which is gratitude. Like, be grateful for, but it's hard, isn't it? It is hard to be on that. You can't go that deep sometimes, because then that takes it away from just enjoying it a lot more. It's hard. It's difficult. Okay, so the final thing. Sorry, I'm going on rants. Self-actualization. Chelsea, that's the final bit, isn't it? Self-actualization.
Yeah.
Can you go elaborate on that, please?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I did an updated version and I switched self-actualization to equilibrium. And the reason why I did that was because sometimes I think self-actualization may be very far away from where I think a lot of people will be able to get, but I think they can work to establish equilibrium. I think sometimes the self-actualization concept will happen for a very small set of people, and I'm for the large majority of people. So I switched it around. But basically, that is when you are yourself in the majority of spaces. Like, you're enjoying your life in the majority of spaces in your life. Hopefully, at least 90%. Right. So you're doing what you want to do with your time. You feel purposeful. You're able to give back into the world in whatever ways that you were meant to give back into the world. Right. And you have a true connection and a healthy connection with your mind, body, and spirit. And so that's what the reframing process is to hopefully get people to, is that point where they are just and I think I would say probably in flow in the majority of spaces. Yeah.
That is the self-actualization.
I think that's me.
I think so too, Michael, to be honest. Out of all of us, yeah. I think so, yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. I'm in trouble. I want to experience everything. I'm going in and out of phases. People can say to me, "Oh, have you tried this?" The other day I was sat by the flipping pond reading about like reincarnation in Islam. And I'm just like, wow, all right. Not that you know what I mean? It's just, I just need to know. I don't think I'm ever gonna get to a place where enough is enough, because I'll just keep on dabbing. This time next year, right? For all I know, I could be Muslim. You know, it could be. If someone said to me, soldier me back then, "Oh, by the way, Jules, you're gonna be dreadlock, you're gonna be vegan, you know, you're gonna be this type of person, you're gonna believe in spirituality and all this, you're gonna explore that." Do you know what that version of me would have said to the version of me now? Like, if I had that version of me sitting next to me now, Michael, you knew me, right? Not that I was bad or anything. I'd probably laugh that person out the door. I would be like, shut up. Like, I am a carnivore. I will consume meat till the day I die. You know what I mean? That kind of person is the person I dealt with. And if someone said to me, "Oh, you know, you're gonna have..." Anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, it's very interesting. And you know what, Chelsea, I just want to say I'm very grateful that you came across my For You page, and I'm also more grateful that you agreed to come on the show and share and talk about what it is you know, and how you've so beautifully put it all into a concept that I feel like a lot of people can use to guide them, you know, really see where they're at with, because a lot of it makes sense. All of it makes sense. All of it makes sense.
I received that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I mean, still to this day, I'm taken aback that so many people resonated with it. I mean, literally, it was just me and my bullet journal. I was just trying to make a stitch to a video real quick, and you know, and then here we are. So I just appreciate that, and I'm just grateful that it helped.
If people aren't resonating with it, I promise you, it's probably because they're still stuck in the existence phase. They can't break free. They are in the room talking to all the posters that are talking back, and the window is right there, and we're here. We're screaming at them. We're waving at them from outside the window. We're literally like, "You all right in there? You all right?" And they're just like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And I'm like, "Well, when you want to have the conversation, you know what I mean? I can't come in. I can't come in there, but you can come out here." It's like, I use this metaphor a lot. There's caterpillars and there's butterflies. And caterpillars will always talk to other caterpillars. "You're like, caterpillar, wait. One of them will be like, "Well, I'm going to be a butterfly now. I want to fly. Isolate themselves, go into cocoon, break free, and now they're flying. And the caterpillar will look up at them and be like, "What are you doing?" And like, "I'm flying." And there's a lot of energy going that way, a little bit of envy, a little bit of, "Well, you're going to stay and talk to me?" And it's just like, "Well, no, I can't stay and talk to you. I can't. I've got flipping wings now. I'm off." And they're like, "What about me?" It's like, "Well, listen, I can't come back, but you can come with me." You know what I mean? You're more than capable of doing what I just did. You know what I'm saying? You're more than capable. It's in you. It's actually in you. It's just whether or not you want to. Do you want to die a caterpillar, or do you want to experience a little bit of flight before you go? You know what I'm saying? And that's the metaphor I use anyway. So what I want to say is, Chelsea, what you've done, is for all, and I love it. But if they ain't having it, it's because they're caterpillars. It's because they're caterpillars. You know what I mean? It is what it is, caterpillars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, I get it. I really do appreciate that. I'm forever grateful for that. Thank you.
I'm really, really looking forward to the Unmasking Process workbook as well.
Yes, that is a work in progress, and I'm really excited for that. It's going to be good. It's taking all my energy, but it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Okay,
I might actually read another book.
I'm excited.
We've gone over, but I believe it was so necessary to, you know. We love special guests here at the Elite Thinking Club, because you bring and share with us so much that me, Liz and Michael we just want to hear, we want to know, you know, and if we can help spread your message, then we will, you know. Can we invite you back? Maybe in a year, we'll have you back on the show.
That would be awesome. I would love to.
All right.
Really,
Oh, thank
I was
you.
so honored that you all invited me on the show. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So yes, thank you.
Well, we're the same.
We love people like you, Chelsia.
For real. And shout outs to all the viewers as well. Thank you guys for being on here. We've had like, you know, over 7,000 likes on the TikTok live right now. Nini, I see you. Shout outs. And everyone else that's been on, you know, we thank you guys for showing up. You can watch this back on the YouTube. And if you are watching it currently now on the YouTube and you haven't done so already and you've watched this whole episode, then you know what to do. You know how to do it. You hit the like, hit the subscribe, and look forward to more future episodes.
And here at merch store, merch, elitethinking.club.
Elitethinking.club. All right. Yeah.
Easy.
I love you guys. Liz, Michael, is there anything else you want to ask Chelsia before we say goodbye? Anything that was on your mind?
Just say thank you.
No, just thank you for your time and for coming on. So thanks.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, Chelsia, I'm obviously going to always follow. You know, I'm always going to like your stuff because your content's incredible. And if you aren't following her on TikTok right now, you need to. Dr. Chelsia Potts, talking about neurodivergence, but also what I love is the unmasking process. That's everything we just covered right here, right now. So go over there, hit the follow button, and you'll get more. Right. Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. And you know what I mean? It has to, isn't it? It's sad, but it is what it is. And so I guess I'm going to.
Flew by tonight. It just flew by.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You really did.
Really, really good. All right. Well, it is that time. So I'm going to do it like we always do it. Viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. From me, Liz, Michael, and Chelsia, everyone everywhere. Peace and love.